Hi,
I'm
Linda.
Barbara Tien with Projectkin, and welcome to a lovely Sunday afternoon here in California, an hour later in Mountain Time in Calgary, or you'll have to explain to me how to say it, to say it in Canadian.
Calgary.
Uh, yeah,
Depends on where you're from. I said that before, you know.
there you go. There you go. I
Uh,
don't know about that. It's a
Depends on
delight
where
to
you're
have
from. I
you,
said that
Kathy.
before.
Today is a special occasion here at Projectkin because we are here to celebrate a special announcement from my dear friend Kathy Stone. Now, before we get into that, a quick reminder. Here in the United States, we celebrate Memorial Day on Monday, which, if you follow Lori Olson White, is a big day for picnics and cookouts and
Oh,
whatnot, with, for example, potato salad. It is also, of course, a very somber day on remembering our loved ones, remembering family members, remembering our community members who have passed in their service to our country. And that, of course, is the first place to start. And in fact, we are coming into a remarkable series of anniversaries right now in acknowledgement of World War II. And it was D-Day's anniversary just earlier in May. And then in the early months of June are the celebrations for Victory in Europe Day. It won't be until later in the year before we celebrate the 80th anniversary of the actual end of the war. So that's what's happening there. And you will see some commemorative things coming from Projectkin, including, and I call your attention to next week when we have a very special program next Thursday with Jennifer Holick, which I think really speaks to the moment as we think about our loved ones who fought in wars and really the healing process as it comes back from that. So with that, let me cut over to the fun stuff. Kathy Stone is with me. Kathy is very special to Projectkin because she was here before Projectkin even was Projectkin. In fact, Kathy Stone was organized to give a talk for Ponga as it happened just about a week before we were ready to announce that we were going away. We were closing it down. So we had that first Kathy's Corner event, and then Projectkin could take it over. At that point, we were post Ponga because I couldn't think of anything else to do. And so here we are. It's delight to see so many of you
yes.
joining in. We see your names pop by. Happy Memorial Day. May you have a chance to celebrate it with loved ones. And of course, here in the United States, it's also a big deal because it's kind of the beginning of summer. Not everything is out of school, not everything is warm, but it is an occasion to celebrate. So happy Memorial Day to you as well, Ian, Jennifer, and of course, our very own dear Myrtle, because Monday, next week, Monday. I'll have to go check for a second when our next Dear Myrtle is, as those happen every other Monday, but I get confused. So, Kathy Stone, we're here for a special event for you. Tell us what's going on with you.
I should have had one of those things to like the popping the cork or something to do their pompons or something. So I'm really happy for Barbara to do this for doing this for me because I am launching my own Substack called Kathy's Coaching. As many of you know, and I've been talking for many, many years, I am trying to, I see all the love, thank you. I have been semi-retired. I'm still trying to retire, but I think many of you in the group know, once you retire, you really just don't want to stop completely and do nothing. So I decided to have my own Substack called Kathy's Coaching at Substack.com, and I would love if you could subscribe to it. And I'm going to share there things that formerly I say in my welcome, I was a really bad newsletter sender and a really bad blog poster through my website. I got really good open rates on my newsletter because I sent one every, once a year or if necessary or so, or not that often. But I feel like Substack makes that so much easier. So I've shifted. My website redesign should be up this week, and it'll be removing all the services I used to do for other people because, as you know, I'm just going to working on my own photos now, but I want to keep sharing tips for people and helping you get your photos organized. So it's kind of an extension of Kathy's Corner, but I'll share more other things on that that aren't necessarily that aren't the same as what we share on Kathy's Corner. We're still going strong with Kathy's Corner, and I've got some blog posts I wrote before. One of the things I did a lot of when I first started my business in 2012, I started my photo solution business, was helping people who had experienced severe flooding in southern Alberta at that time and had damaged photos and albums. And that again, we don't plan for those things, but it just happened. And it was a way I could give back to people um, with all the volunteer things that we needed to do at that time. So I got a lot of experience by the seat of my pants cleaning water damaged photo sets. Kind of one of the areas I can give a lot of advice in.
An important question, Kathy, before you go on. The link to your nifty new Substack, what is that again?
I believe it Kathy's Coaching at Substack or KathysCoaching.substack.com.
Yeah, just want to make sure we got that in there because as soon as you follow that, you can go straight to this very same, very famous, actually, very famous article that you wrote about digging, saving photos from floods,
Yeah, because it's a whole
specifically water damage, right?
water damage. I updated it not too long ago to include smoke damage because usually if you have a fire, you have smoke and water. Sometimes just
Right,
smoke and sometimes smoke
right.
and water. So I've
Yeah.
updated to include that. And I updated a few more links. I don't talk a lot about cleaning videos and movie reels and things like that because they're a little bit trickier. But I've given, there's quite a few good resources. And as you say, this has been kind of a widely shared blog post. So I thought, well, I don't want to lose that by taking that off. So I've posted that. I'm going to share another older one later on today with you that I updated again, another one today. And so I'm going to add some of my own personal thoughts. I love the idea that I can send you notes. I've always felt overtaxed to write detailed blogs, and you'll see that by the ones I write. They tend to be a bit longer of a read, and I love the Substack because I can write short things too, and I can just give you a few tips as they occur to me, just some ideas, and I'm really looking forward to interacting with people on that Substack.
Let me share a little tip that I've learned, and that is that yes, you can toss those quick notes out as you think of them. If you want to know what Kathy's latest thoughts are as those little tips that she's been firing off, you will go to kathyscoaching.substack.com/notes and you can see all of the notes that she has posted. Which, by the way, insider tip for you, Kathy, when you want to write a new post, you can go back out to that list of notes and pull them all together into a real post. And one of the reasons it's really useful for producing a post instead of just a series of notes, even if it's compiling what's already out there in that series of notes, SEO. It really makes a difference to SEO.
Yeah.
SEO is it's the web's universe of finding each other, where spiders, as they're called, search engine tools, are out there going web page to web page to web page to web page. And they're
Hmm.
very good on the details that are built into a Substack post. They're kind of not paying any attention to notes, Substack
Yeah.
notes. So, insider tip, be sure to do that because at the
Thank
end
you.
of the day, we're trying to get you credit. We're trying to get you credit for all the good
Thank
things
you.
that you do.
And I have to thank Barbara, my Substack guru, among many other things, for guiding me through this process and helping me get my Substack up and going. Thanks so much, Mary. I really appreciate that. Um, I'm quite excited about it. We have an old story in our family from one of my sons. My sons changed schools in when they entered grade 4 because we've discovered. I thought that just because I had twins, they were just outsmarting me at every corner. Turned out they fell on the end of the gifted spectrum. And so we moved them to a school with specialized programs. And on the first day of school, we asked we asked them at dinner what was their first day like, and did they like the teacher, and they both really liked the teacher. And then I said, what about the other kids? And one son said, yeah, he said, like, and he told me immediately the friend he'd made, because he's the one that likes single friends. And my other son, at the ripe old age of what he would have been then, about 8, said, I'm with my people now. And that's how it still chokes me up to say it, but I'm like, I'm with my people now here on Substack. I feel that way too. And that's a neat feeling you can find still when you're a little of the older, but I feel like this is my people and the group here. I love reading your articles, and this is one big thing off my to-do list, setting up my new website and my Substack. And I have one more big project to finish off, and then I'll be spending a lot more time reading posts in detail, because I'm going to have more free time, and I'll have more things I'm learning by working on my own photos, as I seem to stumble on new things almost every day when I'm working through my photos and trying to do the same thing everyone is doing, and that is trying to get
Yeah,
those stories told from behind our photos. So I'm really excited that this will give me a vehicle to give you a few little ideas that might be sufficient enough for a whole Kathy's Corner hour, but that will maybe help you in organizing, getting your photos organized, and helping to tell stories. And I love telling stories, so I feel like this gives me a platform to tell stories on too. So,
that's what
um,
it comes down to. That's what it comes down to in any form it takes. Just getting it done. Never let the perfect be the what is it again?
oh yeah, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I might have
Exactly.
to write a blog about that. You never
I
know.
think you just might. I don't know. Now,
Might
Kathy,
be
I'll
another
have you
topic.
know, I've been walking in your shoes. No, that's not right. I have been following your path. That's better. All this week. Well,
Mhm.
okay, big time yesterday. Friday? What day is it? Oh, today's Sunday. So it was big day Friday. I blocked the whole day and drove myself up. I was waiting when the Family Search Center in Oakland, California opened. Yes, indeed. Stories, right? Story
Mhm.
carrier. We are all in for it. And I was there when the Family Search Center opened, and I charged in there with my boxes sorted. That was the
Mhm.
magic. I have,
Oh,
I don't know, something on the order of, roughly speaking, 16 photo boxes worth, each one stuffed to the gunnels. And so, what I did, to your advice to sort first, I went through every single box and I went ahead and took the photos out of the envelopes, marking putting a card in between. Well, it's actually a 4x6 card, coincidentally, an old Ponga card, but we don't need to go there. You know,
that works.
and marking on them what I knew about what this batch was, with a cross reference to the back, to take me back to where the originals are, the negatives are, and then stacked them. So then I ended up with a shoebox with rubber band, temporarily, of course,
Mhm.
and these cards, and stuffing each one, and then hit that beautiful, beautiful, well maintained Epson high
Mhm.
speed scanner. Oh, still my
Yeah.
please. Oh, it was fabulous. And I went through 2,556 photos in a period of about
Mhm.
4.5 hours, and dropped them all into my archive. And now I'm like feeding my kids. They're like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!"
It's so
My adult
exciting when
daughters.
you get stuff digitized. It's just I love that what you did, Barbara, to organize first, not scan everything. The index card method, I just love that. Like I first learned that from a lady named Laura Woosley many, many years ago. And I'm just like, that was brilliant. That is just brilliant. And it's just so helpful in getting the information we need with our digital with those scans. Now you have the information you need with the scans too. And and to use, and my other thing that I love about it is that you went to a public area that had, I think she's getting the box to show you, that you went to a public place that had a scanner for you. Isn't that nice when you can cross off to be scanned? Yeah, that's the that yeah. So it just
It's
makes
really
life
heavy
so
too.
much easier. And you're not buying equipment that you're not going to need. You don't need a scanner. You just scanned all those things. You're not adding more electronics to the environment. Like make use of the places, and a lot of places offer, libraries and all sorts of places offer scanning. And so block that day. I think that what you did, I think, was brilliant, Barbara. That's all I can say about
Thank
that.
you.
Like, and you've
Thank
got all those memories to share and start writing the stories about.
you.
So
Yeah. Well, having that insight and perspective about what can be done gives you confidence. And I
yeah.
think that's so much of what everything we're doing around here is that we are all these, yes, story carriers.
Hmm.
We are story carriers, and we look around at objects that are story carriers. My first boss gave me this. And and we bring that to everything we do. And as we get older, it gets harder to carry all of
Hmm.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that we carry it. What matters is that it goes somewhere to be
Hmm.
valuable to somebody else. And photos are story carriers. They are vessels that just capture an instant in a particular way. And it's funny you just described not having to buy that scanning equipment yourself,
Hmm.
which I agree with. But you know what
Yeah.
else I just bought today? A photo printer.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm planning for a wedding in October,
And you
and
need that printer. So,
we decided a photo booth is sort of a thing. So
yeah.
if events, big moments,
Well,
and special
I
events in
think
people's
there's
lives have changed.
more chances of using a photo printer for more than one thing than a scanner. That's all I'll say, because once you get your project done, then it's another piece of stuff sitting around in your house collecting dust. So
Right.
it's great. Um, Mary just asked if the photo description got scanned onto the digital photos.
I did have them scan both sides. So, to the extent that there was a description on the backside, in this case, the vast majority of these photos have been photos from when my kids were young. So, my kids were all born before, 1996. And so, all of their baby photos were all in cameras. I'm not in any of these pictures. You'd think my husband did all the childcare because I'm not anywhere in there. I was the camera woman.
Yes, that's the typical one there.
Jane, you seem to have a little problem with this. Do a refresh of your. Oh, if you're looking at on a browser on a desktop computer, you can do a refresh, and it should refresh. You may have to hit play on the video if you're looking at it in a browser window, which I do while we're
And
chatting because I don't
And
want to.
what we do, Mary, or what I do is I take those index cards where I wrote the information on, may have been the information out of the off the envelope, or if there was information on one photo, or I figured out what one set of photos were. I write it on the index card and I scan the card too. So in my
Yes.
scans, the card is there, and then I can just copy and paste that information into the description of the photo when I'm going through my digital organizing.
Yes, in this case, what I did was these cards that I happen to be using are just not quite the same size as prints, and I didn't want to risk jamming up the scanner. So what I did was the scanner lets me adjust two fields. One is a date field, a year field, and the other is a string of text. So what I did was whatever information I had from that batch, which was already strapped together, I entered that. So 1996, the elementary school, and or if it's, I had a few that were just like I don't know between 1990 and 1997, I don't know, and so I would say 1990, and then 96 begins the string of text. And that becomes the file name, and then I have
Perfect.
that
Yeah,
information there all ready to go forward, and that
perfect.
I now need to go back to my envelopes of negatives because they were not. It's not clear. You have to look at each negative to really see what
Mhm.
year it is, which is
Yeah.
annoying. But yeah, now I also want to go back and get the next batch of.
Photos ready to go. Well, and I add an experience again of mine because as we know, I learn from experience. So I have been trying to catch up. As you know, I'm doing a lot of scan digitizing and I'm sending it out because I don't have time nor the inclination, even though I own the equipment. I send it out to be scanned. And that's, I think I've said in Kathy's Corner, if you have any finance to donate towards your project, that's what I would donate my money towards because it is a real, I, some people enjoy scanning. I know photo manager friends who love scanning. That wasn't me. I liked looking at the stories and looking at the pictures. So I was sending stuff out for scanning, and I got back to 1994 when I got married, and I couldn't find the negatives. A friend of mine who was a photographer took all the candids, and I thought, there's no way he would have kept the negatives. Like he wouldn't have wanted them. And he took a ton of photos. I had all these pictures, and I'm trying to. So I sent out my I sent the prints. Normally I scan negatives, but couldn't find them anywhere, so I sent them all out. Well, now I'm digging through this box of unsorted stuff from the basement, and that's now upstairs because it's not a good place to keep it. And so I'm just busy yesterday going through, and what did I find in this old box of stuff but those negatives? So now I'm having to go through figuring out because sometimes we may have given away a photo when you have prints. Sometimes we gave that best shot of somebody. So I had to send some more negatives. I had to make a decision. Do I want to rescan all the negatives? And I went, no, I'm paying money for this. No, I'm going to be satisfied with the prints because how many photos do you need of your own wedding in reality? Like I got the picture, you could see the people who were there. So, but it was just reinforcing that uh, having those things sorted beforehand and making sure you've got everything together before you start is really a good idea when you're
Yeah.
sending stuff for scanning or scanning
Or
yourself.
scanning yourself. I mean, that was sort of
Yeah.
my key point was scanning myself.
Yep.
Kathy, you as a longtime professional photo organizer know the communities of these resources. Can you talk a little bit about how to help, for example, Mary Marshall in Washington, D.C., how you might help her if you were to advise her of how to find a professional photo scanner?
The first place I would send her to is thephotomanagers.com
Hmm.
and look for someone in your area that offers scanning. Because if the people who belong to the photo managers are well trained, spend a lot of money on the equipment and on membership and have learned how to do this very well. So I would try and type, but I move my keyboard away. So
That's okay.
we can put it in the notes after, but it's thephotomanagers.com. And you can find people there from by area. If you're looking at a place that sends them away, you want to check reviews and things to see what quality. And I'm not going to diss other companies or anything. That's not our thing. But you do want to check the reviews because there are some companies that are better than others. And if you've taken all the time to organize your photos as Barbara had, you want the scanning company to scan them in that order, and a photo manager will. And we clean everything before we scan it. We dust everything off. If it's really gucky, we might charge a bit more to clean it, but we make, yeah, Barbara's got her cloth there. We dust everything so you have minimal you don't want a bunch of dots that you have to edit out after. You kind of want to do it in a way that makes the least amount of work for yourself. So, and a professional will do that. A lot of professionals now do what's called camera scanning, so they can handle a lot more sizes and shapes, and they'll do slides and do negatives. So that would be my first recommendation is to find someone there. And then if you're wanting to, like, if you look at a local place again, just look for some reviews or maybe send a few. What I've done when I was doing when I first started my business, I was contracting out my scanning because I didn't have the equipment, and I would send just a few of my own photos out and see what kind of a job they did. Did they all come back the right way up? Are they, were they in the order I sent them in? Because if you take the time to organize, you don't want someone to mess it all up when you're done, because you still want your prints organized too. So that would be my starting point.
Yeah.
Always would be the photo managers.
I would add, if you're going to do what I did in terms of going to a family search
Hmm.
center, which they have their list of family search centers. While you're talking, I'll go get the link.
Okay.
It's on the family search wiki. Um, as I said, this is
Yeah.
entirely free access to their equipment. Um, I hadn't consistently done this, but I largely had, just coincidentally, is keep all the photos right side up when you're
Yeah.
stacking them in these sets, and then put them in there will come out the
Yeah.
right way. And then second, as I said, about 5 hours, and I came home with 2,550 images. But what they did is their system, the Epson system, will take three copies: the first copy, the front, the back, and then they do an enhancement. And usually I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. No, no, no. The guy, my advisor there said, yeah, just do this,
Yeah.
because it does a very good, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, a very good enhancement.
Hmm.
And then who cares? You can ignore it if you want. And then you get all
Yeah.
those files back, which means that my little 8 gig thumb drive was not enough. And in that case, they also have a feature that automatically uploads the entire scan job to a Google Drive automatically, which was nice,
Yeah.
though it was not as easy to configure as I would have expected. I'm like, you can't
Hmm.
stop me. I'll figure this out. But it wasn't easy.
I'm techie.
Um,
I can get
and
this.
so that's worth keeping in mind. If you have one of those little 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte
Hmm.
drives, that's the thing to take with you, which is what I'm going to do
Yes.
next time. So, as with all
Yeah.
things,
Better to have too big of a drive than not enough.
right. And think about your connectors, because those
Yeah.
drives are all USB-C, which is awesome. But the drive at the center will all be old USB.
Yeah.
So have your set of you know various cables that you might possibly need. Your
Yeah.
roadie
To do
set.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So wow, this was fun.
This
Always
was, and I'm so
enjoy. And
excited. I'm happy to see everyone here. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully I see you on Substack. And Barbara has been teaching me all about recommendations, so I'll be starting to work on that too. So, but I would love to see you, love to have you subscribe, and we'll see where we go from there. And I may have a story. I remembered this. I forgot to tell this on Kathy's Corner. I'm going to just hold one up, but it was my birthday. Um, a week ago. I know, right? It was my birthday at the end of April after Kathy's Corner. And my children, I'd asked them for, there was a place, a lady selling these on Facebook Marketplace in our city. And so I sent them a link and said, if you want to get me something, get me one of these. So I am very excited to have these in the tin type and the daguerreotypes in my possession now. So I may have to write a little blog about that because it's very exciting. And I've got as I've always said, because I do collect cabinet cards and carte de visite, and I've always said, make sure you write a note on them wherever you digitize them, or the physical ones that says, these aren't our family. Because otherwise, somebody down the road is going to go through a whole lot of searching trying to figure out. um, Thank you, Story Carrier. I appreciate that for the subscribe. Somebody's going to go trying to figure out who these people are and going to have very little luck doing it when they're not related to you. But well, thank you,
right.
Mary. Yes,
And
it
what's
was a
that
big
site
birthday for me
called?
too. I hit
Uh,
the retirement age here.
deadfred.com, is that? Yes,
Dead
deadfred.com. That's a
Fred, yeah,
way to find, who knows, you might get lucky and find who this
information on
person
them. Yeah.
is, things like that. We've talked about a number of links right at the beginning when we got started. I was thrashing around pushing buttons trying to get to the live page that I neglected to come up with the proper link for Dear Myrtle with her Mondays with Myrt, which is tomorrow,
Hmm. Very good.
Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern,
Hmm.
and which makes my head hurt. 5 p.m. in London and 6 p.m. on the continent. See, I can do it.
So if you're on the West Coast in the U.S., you will still have time to watch Dear Mert and then go for your picnic for Memorial Day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just got to get up and, mix your potato salad. So you're going to do that.
Yes,
I got to include potato salad recipes.
always. Always have to have the potato salad.
Absolutely. So I want to thank you again. And any
Thank
last
you.
questions? Yes, and happy belated birthday because I
Oh,
didn't
thank
know when
you.
your birthday was. Happy birthday. We Any last minute questions for Kathy before we sign off for the day?
And you can message me on my chat too
Oh,
at
oh.
KathysCoaching.substack.com.
KathysCoaching.substack.com or at Kathy's Coaching, depending on how you're finding out there. And you are at
Yes.
Kathy Stone.
Hmm.
Lovely. Thank you all. Thank you all so
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks
Enjoy
everyone for
your
coming.
weekend if you get a long weekend and all those good things heading out into all of this. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Bye
soon.
bye.
Oh, look at that big burst of love. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye bye.